Should you let your kids use self-media? What do you think? We're going to talk about what self-government says in this video. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, and education, all through the lens of the principles self-government. And in this video, we're talking about social media. In this video, we're going to talk about whether you should ban social media use for your children or not, and what the parent's role is in ensuring safe social media use if you are going to be using it. Far be it from me to be the person that tells you whether your children should use social media or not. If I were going to answer this question very quickly, I would say, should your children be using social media or not? No. Not if they're children. They don't really need it. In fact, it creates more bullying issues, more addiction issues, more self-image issues than anything else. We have so many young girls, especially, who have had so many negative effects by social media. There's people who are committing suicide and practicing self-harm. They're doing so many things because they get the idea from social media. People harass them on social media. They get false information on social media. There's a lot that is not good about social media. So what does it require in order to really navigate the social media landscape well? Well, it requires discernment. So we need to be teaching our children discernment. That's one big role that parents have. We teach our children what's right and wrong, good and bad, true and false. We need to teach them how to discern when they're seeing something, hearing something. Is this true? If it's not, what do I do with it? You know, how do I expose it? Do I tell somebody about it? How am I going to keep myself safe from things that are untrue and not get the wrong information and lead myself down a harmful or destructive path? That's what our children need to understand, which means we need to put a heavy focus on discernment. How does a parent teach discernment? We're going to talk about that, but first I want to just spend a little bit more time with the concept of banning social media altogether, because I am a fan of it. Enough research has been done now with social media that we do know the harmful effects that it does have on the child brain. In fact, on everyone's brain, but especially an immature brain is especially susceptible to suggestion and addiction, and really does start changing the social function of the brain. It can also make people more anxious and even be more hard on themselves. Perfectionism is something that is taught so often. Many people who have perfectionism have been taught it by their parents or siblings or other people in their lives. Why couldn't social media teach it too? It does. This can be very destructive for a person. They can become very depressed because they never measure up to the expectation that they have for themselves. So in short, social media can create an expectation trap that leads to destructive self-thoughts and even can harm relationships. So saying no is okay. I want to just let you know that I told my children they couldn't have social media accounts until they were leaving my home. So I know a lot of people say 16 is the age. If you want that to be your age, that's fine. No judgment from me. I'm just saying that I thought to myself, why do they need it even then? They can have an email, they can talk to their friends, they can text people. They don't need to have a social media account. So my children didn't start social media accounts until they were 18 or maybe right before they were 18 years old. And then they thought that that was appropriate. And do you know what's funny is that none of them have really gotten so into their social media that it's become an addiction. And if they do get close to that in their adult years now, they say, you know what, I think I'm turning off social media for a while. I'm just uninstalling it from my phone. It's taking way too much time. And some of them don't use it at all, just because they feel like it's a waste. And this is because they've known life without it. Do your children a favor, let them know life without social media so that they can govern themselves better when they do have it. But let's talk about how to teach them discernment, because that's going to be important. Not every parent feels like their child should take a complete break from social media. I can respect that. You're the one that gets to choose for your children. I do know that a lot of states and even some devices in particular are making it so that parents have to be the ones that install social media accounts for their children, or that the child has to be ID'd to make sure that they're old enough to actually install a social media account. This should give us an idea that social media actually is not very healthy for young people in many ways. If some states, like the state I live in, have said you have to be ID'd to have a social media account, then maybe it's not okay for everyone. That said, if you want to go ahead and give your child the thumbs up on social media, make sure that there are some guidelines for using that social media, that there's times that they don't get to use it. Maybe that they think about, okay, what am I going to do when I go on the social media before they even get there? Maybe they're using the social media in front of someone else so that there's 4 eyes on that social media instead of 2 eyes on that social media. This could make a difference, because maybe if somebody else sees a bullying attempt, they would say, that's just not even true. I hope you would never believe that. I hope you would fly right by that and not even listen to that. That's false information. Sometimes just having another person that's there to put their eyes on it and to talk about it lets a person come back to reality and not get lost in this strange alternate universe called social media. What do? We need to talk about the times, the places. We need to talk about who can check into social media. The parents need to be able to have access to the child's social media all the time if they feel like they need to, in order to keep the child safe. They need to let the child know, this isn't because I don't trust you, but this is because actually, as your parent, I need to keep you safe wherever you happen to be. And this is a place that you happen to be. It's actually a different location. When you go here, it's like you're not home anymore. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm there to help you. I also think we need to teach our children how to give themselves a no answer, how to give themselves instructions. That goes into our 4 basic skills of self-government. So if you have already subscribed to this channel, then you know I really believe in the 4 basic skills of self-government. The whole program here really hinges on being able to learn skills of self-government so that you can keep yourself in control, so that you can make decisions for yourself and follow through, and pull yourself back on course when you see yourself falling off track. The same is going to go for technology, for any person, and that includes social media. So you'll want to make sure that your children give themselves their own goals and instructions on social media, and you'll probably want to talk to your child about those goals on a regular basis. Part of the Teaching Self-Government program for parenting involves having certain meetings as a family and individually with the children. So you'll want to have some individual mentor meetings with your children. As part of those mentor meetings, you'll talk about their entire development, the whole development of the person. This would be a great time to bring in the topic of social media, how it's impacting them, and what boundaries you might need to set up to keep them safe. If your child happens to engage in social media without you knowing about it, then that means they need to be corrected. If they're not following the rules, don't be afraid to correct them. Don't be afraid to have them lose the opportunity to be on the social media as well. I think some parents worry that their children will feel like they don't fit in with other people, or that they'll be socially ostracized if they don't have certain social media accounts. And so even though it goes against their better judgment, they let their children have these accounts and even encourage them to be part of them so that they can be popular with other children at school and in their neighborhood communities. But don't fall into that. Your child's life is a lot bigger than these little adolescent years. And if you can teach them that they don't need that social media to be happy, then they actually will have less chance of getting sucked into it in unhealthy ways that could bully them and hurt them, because they'll be a little bit disconnected from it. And that's actually a really good thing. I believe in empowerment for children, which means you need to give purpose-driven rules for your children related to social media and other things. So what I would do is I would establish myself as the parent as leader over what happens with social media as well as all technology, and I would make sure that the rules are established by me, not necessarily by the children, that they're not just left governing themselves on it. Now, there does come a time when they're almost adults that I do know that they need to learn how to govern themselves on technology and on social media and all those things. So we work them up to it. But first, I'm helping them establish the framework, the rules, the no answers, the boundaries, and then help them follow through. But then over time, give them a little bit more opportunity to govern themselves, and then a little bit more opportunity to govern themselves. And they check in with me. I see what's happening on there, and we see if they can actually follow through, and then we'll give them more and more opportunity. If my child is very self-governed and they are reporting on the things that they're doing online, and I can see that it's not becoming an addiction or a problem for them, then that child might get the opportunity to use social media a little bit earlier than maybe some of their other siblings got to. I'm going to factor in their maturity with their self-government skills. So that's going to be a big factor. We're just scratching the surface here. I have another video that's going to go into more detail. It's my next video called How to Calm Digital Chaos and Raise Tech Responsible Kids. I'll see you there.